you gonna do? Ground me?
So I'm not the biggest Disney Pixar fan. I've seen all the old stuff. I'd say that Monsters Inc. and Finding Nemo are my favorite Pixar movies. But of these new movies, outside of Soul, I haven't really seen any of them. But interestingly enough, despite its unrelatable subject matter, I became interested in seeing Turning Red after finding out that it took place in the year 2002, the so-called Y2K era. It was fun to find all the little things that the 80s and 90s kids would actually recognize, since we were all little kids during that same time. First of all, the character designs of when they stand there and smile is reminiscent of Wallace and Gromit, a stop-motion comedy franchise from the UK that started in 1989. May had a Tamagotchi pet, a Japanese toy that was really popular from the late 90s till the early 2000s. At the end of the movie, they show her mom actually playing with a Tamagotchi herself. Next is the original music they had. I actually kind of liked it. It's reminiscent of 90s hip hop. Then there's the way she busts in the door to her school like a rail from the Dr. Slump anime from the 1980s. The whole art style actually looks like it was inspired by old anime, like the Ghibli films. Many modern day cartoons are, actually. That bucket hat that the store clerk has, very 90s. There were a lot of these flashy, colorful outfits back then, and you'd even notice May and her friends each have their own color assignments. Western boy bands like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were crazy popular in the late 90s and early 2000s. The Four Town Band reflected just how insane boy band concerts were, from the outfits to the screaming fans and the theatrics. Accessories like the shell necklace that one guy had, the colorful plastic bracelets, and that plastic choker necklace May had. Very Y2K. The CD mix that your friend made for you. Some kid in the classroom had a finger skateboard. I remember Tech Deck and those thumb characters. I was never good with the finger skateboards, but some kids were, and they were mad popular with the boys. Now, of course, you got the box TVs, the 4x3 standard definition dinosaur screens that we grew up with. May had those basic on-the-ear plastic CD headphones that would come with CD players, just a step above the ones that came with cassette tape players. The lava lamp. I had a lava lamp. I thought they were cool. 70s novelty items like lava lamps kind of made a comeback during Y2K. I also noticed in May's room the flower picture frame. I think that was a girly 2000s thing. Her mom's car was like a late 90s model. All the cars in the movie actually had that boxy 80s to 90s look. Pixar was always amazing with their small details, and you can notice the material her seats were made out of. That felt material for car seating is very old-fashioned. The portable stereo / CD player. Now the heart eyes, the colors involved, and that heart vision that May had. Reminiscent of an anime character who has the hots for someone, like Usagi from Sailor Moon. Lots of Sailor Moon inspiration on here. Passing notes in class with pieces of paper. The only way someone might want to do this nowadays is to get someone's phone number or maybe their snap while the teacher's talking. May's mom got on a 90s blazer, complete with those shoulder pads. Her jewelry looks to be from around that time as well. The whole outfit of May's little purple friend. I forgot her name. The overalls, the hair barrette thing, maybe even the bangs. Physical info brochures, because you couldn't just jump on Google to find out about a place that you're interested in. The Celine Dion reference. Celine Dion is known for singing My Heart Will Go On, the lead single from the Titanic soundtrack. Titanic, of course, is the 1997 epic romance film, and the second movie in history to make over $2 billion. I seem to recall how saving the planet was a big thing back then, and schools pushed it on students to be green and to recycle, and some of them really took that into their personality, like May apparently did. Girls wearing all those hair clips through middle school like it was cool. Again, the girly accessories back then were pretty outrageous. They had all these stickers and patches. They even had stick-on earrings. The house phone, which was an old landline phone built into the wall. And of course they had the Nokia flip phones. You could actually send text messages back then, but that usually cost money, like 15 cents a message, and for a kid, that adds up. Polaroid cameras. And someone had one of those disposable film cameras that you would use for a weekend or whatever, and when you wanted to get the film developed, you would give them the whole camera, if I recall. There was no social media, no Cash App, Patreon, or whatever, so if you wanted extra cash, you had to really get out there and hustle for it. The kids had to come up with an actual business plan to come up with their concert money. And it works, without the use of the internet. The anime-like reaction, the kid who wanted a fun party and who low-key liked the boy bands, had a VHS player that told time. I noticed a banker's lamp in the background. Those things became popular in the 80s and 90s because they were used a lot in TVs and movies. So by the 2000s, it was like a novelty item for adults. The disco lights were another novelty item, a part of that 70s resurgence that happened during Y2K. Disco lights were fun, especially in skating rinks, and roller skating popularity was at an all-time high during the 90s and early 2000s. You could say roller skating rinks with disco lighting is another example of that 70s comeback phase. The giant speakers with the stereo sound system, and Bootylicious by Destiny's Child playing in the background. Bootylicious was a song from 2002, and it seemed to feature a funky 70s beat. I don't know if that was a coincidence or what, but it fits the 70s nostalgia of that time. I don't know how old this style is, but this wooden coat rack is something I haven't seen since I was a kid. The city's wide shot during the rooftop scene is an obvious homage to Sailor Moon's art style. Telling someone you the bomb as a compliment is definitely some corny pre-9/11 90s term that I remember. Kids actually use those tin pail lunchboxes to hold things in. There's that early 2000s looking camcorder. One of the favorite things I noticed is the sword that was used for the family ritual. It looks like Lion-O's sword from Thundercats, the 80s cartoon. Next, I noticed some of those action sequences of May running around, jumping over the rooftops. This part right here looks like the girl that leapt through time, an anime movie from 2006. That goofy Usagi from Sailor Moon laugh that they do towards the end here was hilarious since they have no idea her mom in giant Keiju panda form is on her way over there to ruin their fun. So involving fashions and fads and things that were popular during a specific decade, you'll notice that every 20 to 30 years, stuff from 20 to 30 years ago will become a sort of retro novelty and in some ways become cool again. You could say that it's fashionable nostalgia, like how in Y2K there was 70s items making a comeback. Now in 2022, we've seen 90s stuff make a comeback, and now we're seeing more Y2K stuff making some kind of a comeback. And this movie is a clear example of that.